If you've ever spent some time rail fanning on BNSF tracks, then you've probably noticed there's the intentional oddballs are experimental paint schemes used by BNSF, like the vomit bonnet.
Dude, what is
The
this?
first completely original paint job BNSF ever came up with, and I'm sure you can see why it didn't stick. I mean, it ain't terrible, but it ain't great. Executive colors in a war bonnet style just don't look as good as a classic red and silver. BNSF let the barf bonnet roam the rails for 17 years, but in 2013, it was repainted into Heritage 3. Today, the next experimental paint job will probably look a little more familiar. This engine is nicknamed the Great Pumpkin, and it wears a paint scheme that would eventually become Heritage 1. Unlike the vomit bonnet, this engine was never repainted. However, you can't expect to see this locomotive out on the main line, because it's currently in storage in Minneapolis. Hopefully BNSF will take this engine out of storage sometime, but since it's an aging SD60M, it probably won't be put on mainline service. Either way, it's nice to know this oddball is still out there. Next up is probably the most recognizable of BNSF's one-off paint schemes. On the topic of rare and old rail equipment, near the east end of the Deadhead Yard sat an ATSF rotary snowplow. I seriously can't believe that BNSF is still holding on to this thing. Its number is 199-361, but I could never find a build date or when it was retired. Nonetheless, it's still awesome to look at. I seriously hope this snowplow will be donated or sold to a museum. Now we're getting into the really odd stuff. All of these oddball locomotives were made either out of laziness or they got in a wreck and needed a quick patch. First up are the BNSF Smurfs. These locomotives were leaser units from GMTX, but BNSF ended up buying them. Instead of bringing them to the shop for a total repaint, BNSF decided to slap a couple logos on them and call it good. Only 10 of these Smurf locomotives were made. Over the years, most have been repainted. I wouldn't be surprised if a few Smurfs are still out there, but I can't say for certain how many are left. Next up is BNSF 965. During the 2010s, this engine was involved in a wreck that damaged its nose. After it was repaired, the boys in the paint shop decided to get a little creative, which led to this one-of-a-kind paint job. A similar story can be told for BNSF 1065 and 1113. Both of these engines were involved in wrecks that left their noses damaged, and after repairs, both locomotives were given a one-of-a-kind paint job. 965, 1065, and 1113 can all still be found pulling freight trains on America's rails, so keep your eyes peeled for these interesting locomotives. There's also BNSF 1050, a typical H1-9, but the lettering on the long hood is gold instead of...
Hey, wait a minute, didn't you forget about these? Okay, so I looked into it, and yeah, 1050 is the only one who has the golden font or whatever it is. Sorry.
Here's a photo of 1050 when she was pretty much fresh out of the paint shop. You can see the difference in color between the cab and long hood, with the new paint being a richer orange. 1050 can also still be found on the main line. In fact, just a few months ago I caught it pulling a northbound intermodal. And now, for the two most recent additions to BNSF's long line of one-off paint jobs, the Franken engines. Now, we've all seen locomotives with mix-match doors or swapped horns, but these two engines take it to a whole nother level. BNSF 4331 and 4729 have had most of their entire long hoods swapped. I'm not sure what caused these engines to have such extensive repairs. My guess is they got in a wreck, but I'm not certain. Just like all the oddball H1-9s, 4331 and 4729 can both be found pulling trains all across North America. And who knows, maybe if you're lucky, you could catch one of these engines leading the train. Thanks for watching. If y'all enjoyed this video, consider checking out some other ones of mine. Till next time.